Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Saturday night.
Hello, James.
Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Renee.
Welcome aboard. Welcome to Saturday Night Ride at Turtle Island Report, January 10th, 2026.
What a week. What a week it's been, eh?
Oh, my goodness.
10 days, only 10 days of this month. It's been cray-cray.
The
10
emotional...
days of this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
And already they're turning it up to 11.
Yes, exactly, Brad. That's exactly what I was going to say. Very 11-y.
Very 11-y.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an emotional... Whew, man.
Are you?
Oh, my goodness.
It's that Mars thing.
I am...
boys.
Speaking of Mars, that's the exact... perfect
Mars is
thing
like it's just blowing it up. It's blowing it up cosmically and energetically for the masculine whatever this thing is.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead, James.
Well, I couldn't think of a better archetype. I'm glad you said that. I felt the rumblings of possession by Mars. I kind of angry. I'm dreaming about violence on certain groups and people and things that wear certain things, and using the shape of someone's uniforms as the only criteria for me to commit immorality on someone. Like, for reals. Yes. And I'm watching everyone. I'm not saying this is wrong, but everyone's like, we got to be peaceful. We have to get sprayed in the face with peppermints because that's how we win. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is how we win. I don't know if this is how we win, because at the end of the day, we're normalizing a complete stranger in a mask, and camouflage is allowed to come up to your door, and the proper answer is for you to comply with that, for you to completely give over yourself to that person and to find out later. And this is the antithesis of what we need to survive what's happening right now. So yeah, it's a lot of Marsian going on right here.
Well, it really is.
And then you have to bring the Venus in because, Venus is payday, Friday is Venus's day, and it's like the payday. And so, we've been looking at how everyone's like taking the payday. So the Mars inside of each and every person, that's conjunct right now with the sun.
Conjunct
and then we're
food.
Amplified with Jupiter, like conjunction. Well, I don't know. Renee, you know what's going on, right?
I know Jupiter's in Gemini right now.
Yeah.
And so there we have such a higher stimulation of the Castor and Pollux. You know what I mean? The twins and the conversation being had. And, the Mars placements are really, really potent right now. And Venus, I know it was conjunct with Mars. And there's been, there's so much going on. And I can barely follow it to begin with.
Yeah, she's got it.
Dang if I can't feel it.
They were hiding behind the sun making whoopee.
They were behind the sun doing a little.
They were behind the sun making whoopee.
Oh.
And they're about to come out on both sides. Like,
so
Venus
hot.
is going to be the morning sun, star, evening or whatever. You know how they do that thing every 7 years or something like that?
Yeah, making whoopee by the sun. That's hot.
Yeah, they went behind there. And then the sun gave them all of this, like, the sun flare, the flares, the solar storm stuff is
now we're getting adult graphic, but go ahead.
Yeah, but the sun exploded on them when they were back
Lori,
there.
Please, there are children in the room. Please.
Put it on them. Right.
But that's why we're all activated.
That's right. Yeah. Mars has spooged the war all over the place. And America's like, what? It's like, hey, guys, it's not like we're getting shot in the face. And it's like, oh, actually, we are. This is happening.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
And the only criteria is, like you said, James, as long as you have a mask on, you can do the shooting.
Yeah,
that seems to be the baseline.
It's so backwards, man. It is so backwards. And I honestly, I don't see a way out of it, because I imagine myself in the same situation. The person today that was a different. Sorry, I'm assuming you guys saw this.
Are we in Minnesota? Where are we now?
I think I think this is Minnesota. Native American woman. Native American woman is pinned in her home, and her husband and child, and the DoorDash lady comes, and the ICE used the DoorDash delivery as an opportunity to try and nab her. Of course, they're fucking idiots, because she runs into the home. And she runs down the basement. Now this Native American mother's screaming at them, "You fucking son of a bitches, I was born. This is my fucking land." Just fucking going off on him.
Oh, that's the best thing ever.
And she's calling the police, and 911's telling her, "We're not coming. We're not helping you. You need to do the right thing, or you are going to get shot in the face." And you see
And it was
it.
all over on somebody recording it
Mars.
Mars.
Sorry, Lori.
Mars. You talk about Mars. You talk about recording on a camera. How about the young woman in Minneapolis that did the officer that did the shooting was recording himself as he did it, right?
Yeah, Rebecca Good. Is this what we're talking about? I mean, Renee Good, right?
No, Renee Good. I mean, good grief, right? Charlie Brown.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Grief.
Right?
Good grief. Come on,
talk about being
Mars, but
surreal,
okay.
right, Renee?
Okay,
It really is
Mars,
surreal.
let's go.
But think about back in the day, Fred Hampton, right? When they go in and take him out, the officers wouldn't dream of recording. They're trying to do it, and say it's something that's not.
Does ICE have body cams?
No.
He wasn't even using his body cam.
No. How can he hold a gun and his phone at the same time?
I don't know if that's his video. I don't know.
Oh,
okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it could be a bystander's video of that because ICE, they don't want to carry body cams. Why would they do that? Why would they?
The video I saw was a phone, like he was holding his phone, and maybe this was, again, in this day and age, who knows? But like he was actually physically recording it, and maybe this is not true, and anyone listening may, but he was recording himself as he was doing the stop, and if that's true, it just does almost like, yes, we're so immersed in it now. It's like the people are recording themselves as we're in this reality. Do you know what I'm saying? Where the reality TV, the mesh of it.
Yeah.
Like if that's true, he was somewhat split in his brain as far as him capturing it and what he was doing.
Gotcha. Well, really, and I want to clarify, I don't know what happened. I'm just telling you, typically the ICE doesn't carry, but that doesn't mean he wasn't recording that. So forgive me if that was
like with his own phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So back in the day, when I wouldn't comply and I wore a bird mask, but I remember, I remember I said I costumed, I didn't mask, but this is kind of like interesting. Do you guys remember that time? It wasn't very long.
Yeah. Are you
right?
kidding me?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so I was like forced to do that, right? It was like I didn't want to, but it was kind of like in order to get in here, So
right.
anyway, I would comply in that way that I complied, and I think it was fun to put a mask on. But did you guys ever notice that you can't really see as well when you have a mask on? I couldn't see.
Interesting.
It's good.
Yeah.
With a mask.
I honestly think that's part of the point. I like honestly, in terms of the ICE agents themselves, I don't think they want them morally questioning anything they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally.
Like just in terms of in terms of you get what I'm saying, the metaphorical.
Well, that homunculus, the homunculus cartoon thing that you have drawn up there, James.
Yeah.
With all those nerve endings that are on your face. You know?
Yeah.
And then you have you have 3/4 of them covered up. You're not reading the room.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
not able to read it.
Exactly. Your parasympathetic, if I can just elaborate on that, your parasympathetic has antlers, right? These antlers are nerves. These nerves are in your cheeks. They're all over your cheeks. Mostly your cheeks are the home of these antlers, and they're covered up so they don't have to feel shame coming from anyone else because you are surrounded in the cellophane of anonymity.
Yeah.
So well done, world. And we're normalizing this, that look, this a good citizen would allow anyone with a gun to enter your home. No questions asked.
Right.
Only if they were anonymous and they had no name on their shirt, but it looked like they were maybe possibly paramilitary. That's magically okay now. And it's creepy as fuck. I'll tell you, I had a realization about China though, which is kind of good news because my feed has, because I've been, I tell the feed, oh, this is interesting. Then it gives me more. I get a lot of local Chinese dudes now that tell me, here's what life's like here. And they show you their walk to work. This one lady's like, I pay this guy to illegally drive me on a moped. I pay him every week through this service, but it's actually against the law. And as long as we only stay on this bridge, the cops will not arrest us because it's too expensive for them to turn around. Like she's got this whole thing, right? And it's like, this is her totally. You really get a sense of, okay, so this is sort of real life, basically, that they're basically living in the same kind of thing. But it hit me really strong. If you think about this culture, and just as we've discussed how early Native American culture had a less evolved psyche because they hadn't been on the ground, like they hadn't been above soil as long as, say, the Mediterranean cultures. But then take that same idea and now multiply it the other way. And I want you to think about that China's been on the ground for 3,000 more years than we have.
Yes.
And
They have
so,
a long
yeah, so you're looking at a much more sophisticated form. And I get the feeling that China is looking at us with all these crackdowns and in a way are kind of thinking, well, this is exactly what you guys would need because look how psychotically hyena you are. So this is the things that we did back in the Yellow Dynasty when we were cutting off our junk. Right? It's now your turn. And isn't that what we're doing right now? We're so crazed, we're so enraged by these engorged fertility kind of possessions and on the monetary possessions and the healthcare crap and just all the stuff going on that you're looking at like a premature, pre-homunculin nation. And China's basically just watching us going, yeah, you guys, about 3,000 years, you'll be set. You'll be really set. We'll be here waiting for you, basically.
So I'm going to bring up that Standing Rock experience because I'm kind of seeing it in the ice. So when I first got there, there was a lot of native attire, and then all of a sudden they started to look like these militants. All this black came in. They were like dressed as like militant, like looking like the ice people with masks and bandanas, all matching. It was very much is that called paramilitary?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then I watched how that demeanor changed from, the peaceful to we're the tribe that now is going to like do these missions. They would have secret missions. They were going into destroy the blacks, the head of the snake. And it was like, this righteous, it turned from this peaceful prayer movement into this other thing. And it's a strange thing that you can see that it's like a mind virus. And I think that this masked thing that just 4 years ago was one side and now it's this other, it's just really strange.
Think about the unifying thread in that, though, right? Just and it is kind of funny in one sense, but when the mask came on, to wear a mask is to be a hero, right?
Yeah,
initially
exactly.
with the virus, you wear a mask, you're a hero because you're saving people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, but the mythology is still behind the mask, and there's something really powerful about that because it is tied to anonymity in the sense of like tie into the heroes in group think and not in the individual of the choice you're making right in front of you.
Well, yeah, and before that mask for keeping people safe is I thought it was hysterical that if you wanted to wear a mask going into someplace, they would think you're a robber.
I mean,
exactly.
Right? Initially.
Totally. No, it used to be like
that was a psychosis for me. I'm like,
it
was just like that with the cell phones. When people were talk to themselves, you would think they're crazy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people were just talking out loud in bathrooms and stalls, and it was like.
Think about no shirt, no shoes, no service. This is you have to be less beastly. You have to be less feral, right?
Less beastly, yeah, less feral.
So you can't show your nipples. You can't show your toes. And now you cannot show your genital lips because your lips basically are genital. And I think that at first this is scary and terrifying. You've already heard me say that, so I'm not trying to take this away. But in addition to it being scary and terrifying, I think you could almost look at this as the birth of an outer layer, a mecha suit that we have been naturally growing. It's such a slow pace that we only notice these things. And that the mask is now more acceptable. And it could have a lot of nefarious reasons why it's acceptable, but it also could have nefarious reasons why, and also like more natural growth reasons why. And just as we're sort of creating our surreal reality, where we're meeting each other in a space that's never really physical, so too are we building this shell that separates our internal world from the external world. And the power of uniform, the power of mask, the power of costume is really just the mecha suit of the future. I'm not saying let's all go out and like mechanize ourselves. I'm more saying that I think if you look at this application in natural setting, in a way, we're sort of dinosaurs growing feathers. That we're using the keratin of the environment, right? We're gathering the spit in our mouths and using it to shape wax and placing this wax on our shoulders to give us shoulder pads because it makes us more intimidating. And this really is just the mask is just another layer of that.
I was thinking about when Anonymous came out, and the Guy Fawkes mask and watching how Anonymous and the hackers and, when the internet was like new and what was going on with like this movement. And that was like a masked movement as well. So there is an evolution in consciousness watching masks.
It's almost like we need the masks first before consciousness is comfortable enough standing in the individual, right?
Bingo. Yeah, that's what I was going to say about if you think about when you're living in the wild, right? You're feral, Brad. Like you're a feral creature is like, I don't want to be seen. Like this is your safest point, right? So you're like covering yourself in mud. You're creating the camouflage because your first effort is to be seen, is to be exposed. To be exposed is to die. Therefore, the mask is the first latent space. The first space where identity could come would have to be something hidden. You'd need this arc. You'd need this like hidden chamber where the self could gestate, poke its head out, and then instantly jump back inside.
Yeah.
So the entire moral justification through anonymity, I guess I'm just trying to say this is an ancient built-in pathway that we've been utilizing for a long time. So it's almost one of those things where it's such a primal, cerebral kind of function. There's no way we're going to be able to compete against this and like convince people that this is not the way. If anything, maybe it's the better way to look at it is that try and put a spin on this to see how would this be the way forward in some way. And that's kind of where I go into this mecha suit thing, this sort of cosplay future, You kind of see the cosplay now, but you just kind of stretch it to a more dystopian degree, but still a more pushed out degree. And you start to find a exaggeration that kind of gives you a look at what the future looks like. And that word mecha suit, I think, just kind of fits.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the mecha suit, why it fits is it gives us a space to sort of look forward in that sort of way and see what because it's easy for us to detach from the collective, but we're all part of it. But what it needs to see, right? Because whatever we're seeing is for whatever reason, I would say is because it's what the collective needs to see, and when you can wear that mecha suit and see it out there, and I just think your point is salient there to say it's the spin. I don't think we're controlling,
there's something much larger happening. And
I was thinking, I kept thinking when you say mega suit, and I was like, what's a mega suit? It's like in a megaphone suit? Or like, back, I was like doing a lot of fashion stuff, and then they were doing all these wearable, like this fabric that had all this text on it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's actually mecha, MECA suit.
Okay.
And technically when you say mecha suit, probably a lot of people think about this RoboCop sort of like armor that you climb into. And I'm not saying it's not that, but I was just it's much more haptic. Yeah. Haptic is a word that really is not used enough. I think if more people understood that, but everything is technically a haptic device into your hypothetical. So even a pencil, if you're writing a note to yourself, you have a haptic into the hypothetical because you can access your hypothetical later because you put a note on the refrigerator, for example. So all of these things become
you're writing
that.
To your future self by leaving a message to your future self.
Yes, and the mecha suit is, I think, although it's much more advanced, but it's not if you go back to Mayan culture. Remember all these faces where the face is peeling off the other face, which is peeling off the other face? And, of course, our old friend Zippy Toe Tech, brought to you tonight by Zippy Toe Tech. Hey, if you don't like your neighbor, just tell them it's a sacred ritual. You can peel off their skin and wear it around, but you got to wear it for 2 weeks or else you'll be found guilty of murder. But anyway, back to the show. So yeah, this mecha suit as an extra skin is actually an ancient form of us discovering ourselves. And what's different now is that we're the ones placing the skin on top of our face through makeup, through technology, through glasses, through sunglasses, through braces, So we've been doing this for a while. And when you think about what if we start to really understand that we could tap into our ventral nerves in our face and extend our antlers out to the outer edges of our mecha suit. And I think that this is really what the future of clothing will be. It's not here yet. So even though you think about, but we're covering ourselves up. Yes, we are. However, we're also creating, guess what? A limbic artificial throttle where we can decide how much of this reality we want to actually burn our face. And isn't this what the amygdala does? Isn't this what the hypothalamus does? So it's like, or the hippocampus, excuse me. So it's like, even though the mecha suit sounds new and scary, it's actually ancient and scary. It's actually some of the oldest technology we have, and we're basically just expressing ourselves on top of ourselves and creating this new thing. This is real in the future. Like we got a long way, I think, until we get here, but it is fascinating to think about those things like that.
Well, even you writing in Quantum Rapture, Harvey, recognizing his own body to work with Juan. And that was just reading that for the first time, like, whoa, I'd never really thought of it like this. Like this could be done with
because
and I'm like, dang, this is so cool. And
so
you brought that to my reality. It was not.
So if you think about a keyboard, you've got 26 keys and then you've got 10 letters. So now you need like 36 keys. And this is a very caveman way of communicating with a computer. It's actually based on the positioning of your fingers on a typewriter. But even the positioning of your fingers, if you look at the history of the typewriter, it's actually not necessarily what's fastest. It more has to do with the hammers and the letters, that they put the letters, that the hammer is the least far away from the page, is the most frequent. So I'm just trying to say the layout of a QWERTY keyboard has nothing to do with making it easier for your fingers. It's 1000% based on the historical significance of if you have a rotary typewriter and you got to slap the page with these hammers that hit the letters, right? So
that's so cool to think about.
Yeah. So when you think about what Hardy did, is he said, every single language. So first of all, if I only had 36 letters, that would only give me English, but I want to speak in all languages. So he goes to hex code and he realizes that every single language that's typed into a computer, no matter what it is, agrees to an international standard of turning their letters into hex code. So he ends up with a 16 by 16 double-sided interface to type every single letter you could possibly imagine, including your glyphs in China, your Japanese glyphs. And he could do all that having 2 presses of his hands touching themselves, because you have 5 digits on one hand and 5 digits on the other. And just by touching each of these, you close a circuit and your body ends up sensing a haptic circuit, which therefore is translated into a letter. So I'm sorry, this is like completely technical. Forgive me. I'll stop. But the point is that you develop a more haptic device. Do you see? You develop a device that's more rooted in you and what you do and what you could do. And our technology is so far behind us because it's more based on tradition than it is on haptics or on what actually works. And a lot of that's because, you burn a lot of calories to learn a new interface and things like that. So, it'll take a while. But there will be a day where that'll be easier.
And you mentioned interfaces, and I'm really bad. I don't know a lot about this, but in terms of that, it sounds like what you're saying is in terms of the intent of the programmer or the intent of what you're trying to communicate and converting it to binary. And the fact that it's more intuitive, it sounds like you're saying it's more intuitive if it does it haptically rather than trying to It's incredibly
Yeah,
do it.
if you think about the way your body works, this is what blows me away is that, well, holy shit, every single sensation that I can possibly have is an action potential. And that action potential is only going to be on or off. Our bodies don't even have a analog signal, guys. It's profound. Right. Our bodies do not use an analog signal. They use a digital one. Action potentials are little blips. Just mega, like tiny little blips of millihertz that signal some sort of action. And the only pressure, the only kind of loudness we have is frequency of those signals. And that's a binary interface, isn't it? Because it's either on or it's off. It's not, it sort of tickles and it really tickles. Those two things are the same signal. The only difference is if it really tickles, the signal's like 10 times has more frequency. It's not amperage though. So we're already living in a digital nervous system. And it would be quite natural if you wanted to enhance your nervous system that you would appeal to it through other digital means. Because ultimately, the only way to really feel something is to be able to isolate. Is this on or is this off? Is this pore open or is it closed? And it turns out the body doesn't need a resolution for each pore because all the other pores around it are giving the resolution that you would think that you would want to get from that single pore. It's the fact that there's so many pores that are working in tandem that you can keep that binary interface where it's nice and cheap, but still combine all that data and you end up with a touch sensation because you don't have one mouse button. Your body has 3 trillion mouse buttons when you think about your pores themselves. And then when you think about your nerve endings, so you've got trillions and trillions of inputs, and every single one of them is a binary signal, a blip that's either on or it's off.
I think we're just learning how to use them, aren't we?
I wonder if it feels like when you like find a clue, you're like, it's on. It's on. You know, that energy of like, I found it.
Yeah.
Like that's a definite like surge.
I'm doing this experiment. I'm doing this experiment with pine cones. Perfect. And I think there's a secret in the shape of the pine cone.
Of course.
And I think that there's something about there's 10 trillion cells and each cell has a proton. And that's a black hole, right? So we're untapped potential. Right now, we're binary, but I don't really think we're binary. There's too much proof. So my pine cone experiment has been 3 years of pine cones sitting outside in a bird bath. Now, when they're wet, they're closed. And when they're dry and the sun's out, they open up. Mm-hmm. They haven't disintegrated yet. And I was thinking about the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce, 6th grade education, Sunday school teacher, coming to go to sleep to get information, other languages, all kinds of stuff that he didn't know. He didn't know that. How did he tap into that? How do we tap into this potential that's not just our body? Is it the pineal crystals? It's like, I think we're going to have superpowers coming on. I think this might be the year we get more of them.
Yeah.
The clairvoyance, the telepathic, all kinds of stuff. So that's just my pineal.
I do think it's opened us up, right? I mean, the more time goes along, I mean, it does feel like the more it's cracking things open. And I just say that in terms of the fact that I feel like what we're talking about, and like we've experienced things where it's like, just me again personally, I feel like things are happening in the world out there. They're cracking it open in a way that I feel we've already been cracked open.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's almost like resolution. Like, for example, right now our consciousness. Okay, I think this will tickle just right because right now our consciousness can only interpret 7, some would argue 9 sensations.
Yeah.
And but I've been telling you that there are these. I mean, I know you know this, but it's like I've been arguing that through piloerection, this is the next like 4-minute mile where we can learn to piloerect every pore independently. This is hard as shit, guys, because we're jumping from 5-7 senses to 3 million. Okay.
Yeah.
But we have to learn how to do that slowly through titillation. I swear to you, that's how this works, through having the witness, right? Because when someone stares at your neck, you feel it. So the subtle energy is the only way you're going to be able to learn all these ports, to control all of these signals. But then this is where the resolution comes, because you're in the same room. Everyone's in Hades. This is a good word, I swear. Stay with me. Everything is in Hades, meaning the unseen realm, right? But we are seeing it at 7 or 9 colors, sensations. And someone who is tuned in to the pores of their body would be seeing those 7, but then in addition, 3 million more, of course. But then think about it this way. Once we mastered piloerection, what's waiting behind that? Full nucleic cellular hallucination awareness. Your ability, right, to sensate, not just in every pore, exactly, but in every cell in your body. And wouldn't this be the omniscient, omnipotent, all-knowing, all-powerful ideal that we have in our mind anyway, whether you want it or not? Your neighbor talks about it, but so it's like, this is the oracle of mythology. It's leading us through our senses. And the thing that's making us perfect them, sadly, is discomfort. The more discomfort causes you to spend your self-worth on, how do I get this haptic device to work better? Whether it be an arrow, whether it be a knife, whether it be a mouse, whether it be a gun, whether it be a drone, whether it be a mecha suit. So if we could come up with a nanofiber that is able to, I've pictured how this might work easier than we think, because I think about the telephone on a string. If you could attach a copper wire that just slightly pokes into your, not like poke, more like nudges your pore
gently, right.
A nano piece of copper fiber that is able to touch every pore, and that outfit could be sort of an amplifier where you would be able to sensate piloerection as sort of like a training wheel. Because I think if you had the copper just touching that, it would just be amplifying that subtle signal. And that subtle signal practice would give you enough, sort of like when you're learning to hear. Isn't it weird how if you tilt your head down a little bit and kind of look at your lap, but then have a stern look on your face, that if you do all those things that you could start to kind of hear better? Or as Lori was saying earlier, if you have a mask on, you can't hear as well, So these kind of things would be like black under your eyes for a football player to see, or placing your head above your eyes in order to see far away. All these haptic interfaces end up kind of slowly nudging us through a very long journey into a full sensory input human, an atom that senses every single gland, every single hole, every single pore, and then eventually every single cell.
I would be ready to fly some airship then.
You'd be an airship.
I was thinking about that Veda. Yeah, you'd be an airship.
You'd be able to defy float.
I think that these biologics that we might see, these, like you did that ball lightning thing. I was thinking about the biologics of like technology of a different resonant human, a homo luminous human coming into these powers that could have these biologic airship, right? And even in the Vedic text, it talks about these flying ships, right?
Yes.
Well, they needed their body plugged into the ship. And supposedly you needed to have a full foreskin in order for it to work.
Wow. Wow.
That's why they cut the foreskin off, because you guys can't fly ships.
Yeah, they want to keep you on the ground. Yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all those nerve endings,
Yeah, and that's the mask. That's that extra skin suit that we want to put on. We want to slowly think about, hey, maybe we shouldn't have taken that off. Yeah, all these things are related. I think for sure.
I think that if you have to stretch your mind into thinking what we can be, not what we are.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
It's very opposite the traditional sort of Americanized version of Christianity, which seems to have this idea that you were meant. That's the word, meant. You were meant. Man wasn't meant to do this, is what they'll hear. What
does meant mean?
Which paints this idea that there's supposed to be this one version of man that's always this way. And that as long as you were always this way, you were doing what God says, which literally means freeze. That's the belief of, hey, when you go out on the playground, if you don't want to piss off God, you got to not play. You just got to fucking stand there. Don't fucking do a thing. If someone throws a ball at you, so the fuck what? Turn the other cheek. No, don't even turn the other cheek. Right? You can't even turn the other cheek. No, you're going to sit there. You're going to be thankful.
Most boring recess ever.
Yeah.
God's going to love it.
We're going to play Foursquare with no balls. That's right.
What is the etymology of meant?
No.
I don't know. Because it's spelled meant. Yeah,
You're only meant to do this. You're only meant to do that. That's like a big program, isn't it?
I know, because you're like, well, what am I meant to do?
Program.
And the answer is always, well, you're meant to do what I think you should do. It's like, oh.
Like you're supposed to? Like you're supposed to? But you're meant to do it?
Yeah. Suppository. Yeah.
You're supposed to the playground, but don't play.
Lament.
Whatever you do, don't play.
Yeah.
The last thing you should do.
You can't freaking go. What are you going to frolic? What are you going to smoke plants that grow out of the ground to respond to your endocannabinoid system? Is that what you're going to do?
Little do they know
Fucking
you're
feral,
working
crazy
on
mofos.
your flotation device, which is you.
That's right.
That's your practice to eventually float.
Oh, totally.
You can't skip that.
Yeah, think about learning to walk. Isn't learning to walk learning how to fly for like pre-flight training, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we can all say we're meant to fly.
Yep. Well,
I think we're meant to get back down.
How can we not all get excited? See, that's the thing. If my kids are going to school, if I'm going to school and you're telling me the goal at the end is I'm going to fly, well, I'm in, baby. Yeah. I'm studying overtime.
Yeah. I'm going to stay after school for that one.
We have to flip the script on what meant.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. That's a funnel one. That's a funnel cake right there.
There you go.
But isn't that the sad thing about so much of how we come into life, where we have these dreams as kids, and all the world tells you is what you can't do, not what you can do. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole aspect of imagination, isn't it? The fact that imagination, and I think deep down we all kind of know that imagination is such a primal force that's really driving everything, but we're told not to lean into that.
Well, there's a civil war. Yeah, it's a war on the imagination.
It really is,
and that's called society. And we are.
It's a war on the civil to keep things civilized, not to be too rogue with your imagination.
And you see what's civilized, and you see what's civilized. It's very.
Yeah, we're going to define what it means to be a rebel. And that will allow people to pretend to be a rebel. We will define what it means to be freedom, and then we will allow people to pretend they have freedom. But see, these are all catering to our fantasies. This isn't even mind control or manipulation. This is, I will give you what you want. Because at the end of the day, you want someone like this. And let's be honest, a long time ago, we were like, hey, those guys are over there humping that rock. Why is everyone into it? It's like, I don't know, but damn, they got bread. They got beer. They got all kinds of stuff, And you start to look at what truly built first civilizations. It actually wasn't agriculture. It was beer. Sex and beer really was at one of the pillars of civilization that came even before agriculture.
Well, I was thinking about this thing about they had to drink wine or beer because water was so...
Yes, exactly, Lori. Yes. You needed the fermentation to kill all because you're...
Can you imagine drinking beer just as your water? Because you're working... It's like you'd be drunk all day.
Yeah, that's why sailors do it. That's what sailors did. Sailors were like, well, fuck, we got to do that. We can't... You don't know what's in that water.
That's right.
You need alcohol in that water. That's what you need. And we do
Yeah,
that
that would
now.
make
Most
sense.
of city water has, chlorine is pretty much the go-to when it comes to. So yeah, we're poisoning that water anyway. And yeah, a long time ago, beer was the way to do it. That was actually the only way to survive, is in that way. Isn't that
Right.
just so interesting? It's so profoundly different than what we were taught, and even what we would think until you start to embrace the dark side a little bit more, meaning you start to realize that the discomfort is what got you here, and the having all these psychic forces that were tempting your consciousness to ferment itself, even caused you to form an ego. Even you cutting off your own junk, I think, really does come down to, it burns when I pee, right? I need to say no. I can't handle this. I'm so turned on because there's a Stargate right here, and if I can drop my seed, I'm going to live forever. Like that's a primal need. So all these things are, really training us to grow a psyche, but also develop reins for that psyche, have the ability to say, whoa, boy, and pull it back is a profound mecha suit. I swear to you, it's a mecha suit that was built. In fact, if you look at the hippocampus, it used to be, it's shaped like a shrimp. And the reason why is because its tail started to head towards the front again. The evolution of the brain's like, okay, now we got to fucking stop this thing. We learned how to go. We got to learn how to stop. And its tail had to flip the other way and start to head towards the front and build this frontal lobe. And that's,
James, that makes me think
that's a
of
mecha
werewolves.
suit,
I was thinking about that free will choice because, like, if you don't have a frontal cortex, your free will choice is a little limited. You're a little bit more like, I just got to go.
Yeah, the
I don't-
illusion.
I don't
Yeah.
think-
Werewolf, the psyche, the split in the psyche with the werewolf, right? And it's the consciousness using the throttle between the psyche of the unconscious in the werewolf and in the frontal cortex, right? And trying to tell it to go, but also rein it in. It's learning balance. It's learning to control that thing.
Yeah.
It's learning to
Still
learning
is.
to harness it.
It still is. And if you look at all modern day crime, I think you'll actually see that almost all of it's werewolves.
Yeah,
I don't say this
That's what I was
lightly.
thinking with the device.
I've been writing this all day, but there's a case that just took place 2 years ago. And this case is a couple in Spokane, Washington. They're in their early 20s, and married couple. The wife says she wants a divorce. A couple weeks later, she meets a guy dating a 19-year-old man. She goes to pick him up, drives him back to their house. He moves in to this married couple's house, and now they all live together, and the psyches start to mix. And the next thing you know, the 19-year-old is stabbed the dude 27 times. And he does it during a sex ritual. The couple pulled out a Ouija board, and they started talking to Zozu, and you're looking at this. It's the typical Roman werewolf story of guy is normal, trying to hold it together, gets put in a triangle, has is told that his baby, by the way, that she's pregnant and that he's the father. She probably told the other guy, her husband, he's the father too. I'm just saying it probably happened.
Right. Yeah.
And you end up with a psychic breach. And then if you look at the story itself, there's even this weird split where the guy starts saying, I don't know what happened to me. Something came over me.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was. I don't remember this. And then you ask her what happened, and she literally said this. It blew me away as I was reading it. She says, I only remember the lower half of him. I don't remember seeing the upper half. And this was a werewolf. He was the werewolf right there. And this guy went in was with the open attitude of, thought I was friends with her husband. I thought that everything was okay. I went in the bedroom. She says that now she wants to have sex with her husband. And is that okay? I tell her it's okay. She asks me to watch. And then next thing you know, he stabs him 27 times. those combinations of course, there's alcohol involved, there's THC involved, but more importantly, there's a fertility triangle. There's a Stargate right there. There's eternity right there. And you've got this, none of these guys, all three of them, none of them have a fully developed frontal cortex yet. They're not 25.
Oh, gosh.
No.
And this is the real life case of a freaking werewolf. The guy that did the killing stabbed him 27 times. He starts with, I like this guy. He was a nice guy.
Isn't there like laws for like
he
like
ended up
crimes
with
of
your
passion?
demon. He ended
Like
up
these
calling
crimes?
you as a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's he in the middle of his interrogation, when the detective said, well, no, he actually died. As soon as he found out that the guy died, he just confessed everything. And you could see that he was he woke up, just like that soldier story I told you guys about the werewolf. He woke up the next day, turned himself in. How did he turn himself in? He called his mom. And he's like, I fucked up. I'm on the run. She called the cops. He's not resisting. The only reason why he's not resisting until they tell him the guy's dead is because he thinks maybe a lawyer might help. But as soon as he finds out, no, this guy, he killed a guy. He doesn't want to defend himself anymore.
Yeah.
And he confesses to the werewolf. He confesses to being the werewolf. This guy was completely naked when he stabbed the husband, which means he also reported that he was impotent. It blew me away hearing that he was impotent because he was asked to join in and he couldn't. And he couldn't, guys, because he was not parasympathetically in the room. He was not comfortable, right? And that parasympathetic breach is also, I think, part of why only half of him was even recognizable. That this was the only thing that was even seen. He takes off his clothes because he wants to participate. He can't do it, so he leaves the room. He goes into the other room. He's naked. He finds a knife on the mantle. He hides the knife in his butt crack because he doesn't want it to be seen. So this is a very premeditative thing. He plans it. He hides it in his butt crack. It's like a really sharp, long box cutter, basically. And he walks into the room. Someone suggests that he should film, that he should turn the light on with his phone or something. He does it. He says that he sees this man raping his girlfriend.
Oh my goodness.
So he stabbed him 27 times. And the entire time you see the change, you see the versipellis, this Roman word. And I'm watching this happen, guys. I'm going, this is the werewolf, but we live in a time where we can't afford to see this. We can't afford to even admit that this is what's happening. This explains it more than anything else. More than anything else that we talk about why people commit crimes like this. This skin turner phenomenon is fucking it. It is a psychotic bicameral switching of agency where someone else becomes in charge because the ego is not 24/7 yet, because the ego is not fully developed, or it doesn't trust itself enough. And that it knows sometimes we're going to need a soldier personality to come to the front. And sometimes we're going to need a psychopathic jaguar killer to come to the front.
And do you think that it comes in when the conscience can't handle what's happening?
Yeah, and to be even more fair to this kid, he spoke about when he was a child, he went hunting for deer, and this is a tough one, but he had to finish the kill because his kill wasn't clean. And when he finished the kill, he felt an erotic passion about it. And that was the only clue that he was giving that he thought maybe there was something wrong with him, if this makes sense. This is him being really honest in the sense.
Wow.
And I think that this comes back to what I've been arguing for earlier, which is you really have to understand that feeling of him feeling alive in the kill is that Promethean flame, the neurons in his brain saying, this is a really good high. This experience really tickles every single pore and will cause you to awaken. So you need to go have more experiences like this. And when you think about that, if your epigenetic ancestors have been having a better time than you have, neurologically speaking, that after a while, your memories start to sense that you're atrophying, And the only thing you can do to save your brain is to have a psychotic break and do something ancient and horrible to reignite those candles. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I was thinking about this like society that we live in, that you can enlist before your frontal lobe comes on board, and you can go be like a soldier for hire, right?
Probably why, right?
Right. And then you cannot drink until you're 21, but you can go and enlist.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Oh, yeah. I agree.
And then you're going to put somebody in like a Marine Corps mind control program. It totally makes sense on like why it works.
Yeah, because you need to make sure that neocortex isn't. You need them inside before that happens, not after. Because if it's after, you're not going to be able to have a good. This guy's going to conscientiously object. If you if you don't do this soon, he's going to conscientiously reject. It's going to be a problem. But if you think about all uniforms, guys, think about this. Anytime you put on, and there's nothing wrong with this. Anytime you put on a uniform. In fact, I think you should tap into this personality. Sorry, I keep precursoring it, but seriously, this is really important. But if you think about skin turners, I want you to think about when you put on, I work at Killer Burger, I'm going to wear my Killer Burger uniform. That's a skin turning. When you go to work for UPS, you skin turn. Your personality changes. You become a much more efficient. You're about efficiency. You're about lumbar support. You're about getting your drive done. You're about just like focused on that ability. So the skin turning is much more positive and constructive than we think. It's just that we're not comfortable with the idea, I think, of owning that's what we can do. It's actually one of our most powerful kinds of magic. And we deny that magic because, well, who knows why? Who gives a shit why we do it? We deny that magic the same way that we no longer practice imagination consciously, because this skin turning is a practicing of imagination consciously. It's just you're not conscious of it, but your agency is. The thing that has the urge is, and it steps forward, and because we cannot admit that this happens, because the ego is too afraid to imagine that it has a committee that's doing things without it knowing it, maybe, perhaps, that this is why we're not able to consciously see who we are and understand what gears we have, and that we can purposely shift into these different modes as needed because we do it anyway.
Is that why you think we're kind of maybe react the way we do to ICE agents in a fear sort of way? Because that's what it is. It's like they're acting out in that regard.
It's a certain display of power, isn't it? Yeah. And you're looking at how it's been empowered by others through the use of the uniform.
And that's the key of it, right?
Yeah, it shows you how dangerous it is. This is a mecha suit that I don't have. I better go get a mecha suit. I guarantee you, any world leader that's watching Venezuela that might have some autonomy is like, we need more fucking planes. We need more weapons. We need more bombs, because holy fuck. Right? And just like the last administration, everyone's just like, we got to have more preppers. Everyone's, going into the prepping stuff too. This is making you more autonomous. And if you're more autonomous, you're building that mecha suit around you, whether it's your house or your car or your clothes or all of them together. You're pasting things and calling them you until they become you. That's what a house is, and that's what your horse is. So this is ancient technology. This is as ancient as, I'm going to put that guy's skin on. It's going to give me powers that I've never been able to imagine before.
Well, even just think about putting on a robe. You put on a nice soft robe. You're like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay, now I can go sit on the couch. I mean, it's an instant. Just now I'm in robe mode.
Yeah,
the robe is moded.
I was thinking about the power of belief, or the thought of creating your imagination. When you're a little kid, you just really think you're Batman or something, and I remember my grandchildren going through this phase where they became cats. And it was like cats. And so it was like I had to treat them like a cat, to put the food on the floor, to pet them.
Wow. Meow, meow.
It was, meow, meow. And they would talk cat, and I would have to meow back at them.
Wow.
But there was
meow.
this, meow. Yeah. So I remember there was this movie, and it was a true story about this guy that became this. He was like an imposter, and he became a Pan Am pilot, and he flew an airplane. And then,
Really?
then he became a doctor, and he was he was doing surgeries and stuff.
Wow.
And he was like the ultimate imposter. And it was a true story.
Damn. Yeah.
It's like that power of in your mind, you've created this mega suit.
Yep.
You know, you're just whatever you want to be. You're just this imagination. But he really got away with it.
Well, that's what's funny about the confidence game, right? You do find out, and I think this is true, is like the more confident you are, the more the reality bends around your confidence.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all
This is
confidence.
this is that power of manifestation, like that Manly P. Hall, or what was the other one? The one about the manifestation. He was a dancer, and there's a bunch of stuff. But I think we're in this time where you're really getting to create your reality. And then you're getting to see, wow, like these suits that the people are putting on and how people are behaving around the suit, you know? And it's like, well, you know, there's nothing broken. We're all getting to see the power of these beliefs. I mean,
there's competition for it, right? I mean, that's what Trump, I think, does so well, is right. It's the height of imbecility, right? But it's done with such confidence that it still carries with. That's all it takes, right? You do it with confidence, it can be the most asinine thing in the world, and that's what we're seeing, is the fact that the reality itself will support it to an extent as long as you're confident enough, right?
Totally.
yeah.
I mean, 'cause
Yeah, truth doesn't go nearly as far as propaganda, and you know the body works that way too. So the ones who are going to do well are going to know that, and the ones that don't want to do well are going to pretend they don't know that. I'm one of the latter. Always pretending that I don't know that, and yeah, it's an interesting place to be. You know, it's
Yeah, I was watching. They had the U.S. World Championships of ice skating, and what people can do now. I mean, back in the '70s, you watch like they would do two turns, and it was like, whoa,
Right, a triple axle. Oh my gosh!
oh my
right?
God! Well, now this guy did like 4 spins.
yeah, you
Four
can't even
four
really see it.
spins.
Yeah.
Four spins. 4. With another thing that happened after he did the 4 spin thing.
Wow.
And it was just like,
And
he
nailed
said,
it.
he nailed it. And he had this like perfect program. And I thought, well, how did he get there? He got there because he thought he could get there, and he had no fear.
That's the thing I love about watching sports and watching how each thing is beat is because it's seen before, right? You see someone do a thing, and all of a sudden you think, I can do that. So if you look at the athletics in general, when you look 50 years ago and you look at what athletics is capable of now, it does look awe-inspiring. But I with exactly what you're saying, Lori, it's like, it's the fact that everyone grew up seeing that happen, and it's like, whoa, well, that's just. The same thing happened to me with the Beatles when friend said, "Hey, the Beatles reinvented music." So I grew up in a time where it's like I was way past what the Beatles influenced. But when I went back and listened to the Beatles, I was like, "That's not really reinventing the wheel for me." But you put yourself in that time and you realize, oh, that was new to them. But when you go forward and it's like, and you see it, it's like when everyone builds on it, it's like that's not new anymore. So it's just kind of crazy to look at what you call athletics in terms of 20 years ago, and you see what they're capable of now. It is because everyone's building on what they've seen before. So what was blowing people away in the 50s and the 60s has been mastered now, and now they're taking it further. And I do think that's the inspiring part of, I think, human potential, right? When we talk about wings, right? You want to talk about where we can go?
Yeah, I want to see, floating cars. I want to see that.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I think China has those, by the way. Like, I think that those are like consumer grade now. Flying cars. Yeah.
I want
Yeah, I swear, I'm sorry I sound like a Chinese plant, but like
Hey,
seriously,
listen,
like they really
I
things
listen
are
to
going
this.
over there, man. Things are getting done,
I listen to this guy who's like a business reporter and from the US, and he reports in different provinces of China. And I tell you, what they're capable of doing, they haven't spent any money on war. They have the long game. They're making amazing strides in technology.
Yeah, the fact
They're
that they have
older
the
than us.
yeah,
and
they've
and
got all the cities, they have a tire
and they've
city.
got the majority of the silver smelting.
Yeah.
And then the silver smelting is like, oh, they set some rules up, so it's harder for the smaller guys to send their silver out into other locations. So
Do you think China was playing with America, saying like, "You kids just play with these trinkets over here while we're doing the real shit," right?
yeah, I remember talking about this a long time ago. I said,
Yeah.
watch BRICS, watch the BRICS. We're about to shift once the oil doesn't get traded, and so we're at this like, running over to Turtle Island, and I'm here in the United States going, oh my gosh, I knew this was gonna. I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
The long game is definitely the long game, and what they're able to do there, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The business is that. I mean, I told you about the dark factory that makes an RV one day and a modular house the next, and it's dark. There's no humans in there.
Well, that's when you distract a whole people with trivialities and while you're doing things in the shadows, right?
Yeah, you're
It's
talking borders. Well, let's talk borders.
right.
Like, what can you do if you said this beautiful Turtle Island doesn't have borders? It has different languages, nationalities.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, colorful shell.
Well,
But
what if you're not dealing in borders, but in potentials, right?
yeah, potentials.
Well, what I'm thinking about, Turtle Island, they didn't drink alcohol, correct? Was it something that was really drank on Turtle Island? The natives weren't.
So
I
like
think they fermented corn, didn't they?
the giants apparently they did that. That was in fact sometimes they would actually kill the cannibals by giving them corn liquor.
Yeah, that shit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Chicha.
And they couldn't handle the drink. Like it was too. They didn't have that ability.
Well, they
to
also
slow
had
it down.
clean water available.
So, it's a good question on how
that.
on if they carried fermented water. It's a great question. I don't know. But they definitely had alcohol. Okay.
Well, the Native Americans didn't have the proclivity for it. That's when they introduced that fire water that it destroyed the native populations.
Yeah, it's such a different potency. It wasn't the same. I'm just saying that technically they did have fermented corn liquor. I do know that, but that's all I know.
Right. But in Europe, Europe, that was, as we say, created the Dickinson-esque, debtors' prisons, and we are drinking beer because we don't have clean water. So I'm just like, what does the body do with that?
Yeah.
They had
that the higher alcohol percentage in London and Ireland, right?
That's my guess. America. Yeah. My guess is that I wonder if it was a higher percentage. That would be an interesting corollary to the consciousness. Is how strong was the drink, basically. Like how alcoholic was it?
And I was just thinking about little kids, they're growing up, they can't drink water, so they have to drink beer or wine. I mean, it was just like so interesting to think about.
Yeah.
That even like in France now, I mean, they don't have the alcoholic problems that the United States has. There's something about like this growing up.
In terms of the fact that it wasn't pejoratized, and it's like it was, from what I understand, it wasn't such a thing where it was like, oh, alcohol, drunkenness in this kind of way. It was just like, they drank a standard sort of, it was, in other words,
it was like a ration almost.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it's a little this kind of way, and it wasn't abused. And the big thing is the abuse in terms of Bacchus going to the terms of, changing your consciousness, right?
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with that Puritanism, like, that there's
Yeah.
something about that.
Yeah, it makes sense that why that would be so popular and why it would be so brutal. Puritanism itself is actually a pretty violent. It's so weird to think about it, right? But it's like pretty fucking violent, honestly. Like if you understand, it's kind of that almost a Chinese kind of approach. Like keep in mind that, man, to make China, you had to kill a lot of people, like a lot. And that kind of slaughter, we've certainly had slaughter here in America, but we really haven't had that kind of practice on like a mass scale. Like compared to like Europe, there's been a lot for sure. But now look at China and you're just like, oh my God, there's so many bodies.
They went through this time where they had this huge famine. I've read a lot about books on this, and the amount of people that died of starvation. Oh my God.
Yeah. And sometimes that was done on purpose,
Yeah,
Wu Wei, that district of Wu Wei, which is I think why we have Taoism, is talking about be water like. That was like, it's a really cruel spin on something that happened where that Emperor Z was like, I don't like these people, so we're gonna cut off their water, and like 100,000, 200,000 people died just because of some irrigation changes that they
couldn't.
made.
They couldn't water their crops and they starved.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what be water like. Actually, I think they flooded it. Actually, I think I actually flooded it. Yeah, because the be water like was like exceptionally cruel when I read this story, realizing what Wu Wei means. But yeah, it was the district of Wei, and it was flooded by them, which destroyed
and it was all about
their
food security.
Yeah, and that's what
Isn't
brought
that
China
crazy
together.
To slip that in there, though, to slip that in and to be water like as to some mantra.
Yeah, it shows you. It shows
crazy?
you a super kind of cruelty, an outwardly displayed cruelty that's a kind of art, is how I look at it. In the same way, when you ask a long time ago, why do you bring a band to a war? And they'd tell you to make it beautiful. This is what they would say in Africa, is we bring a band to make it beautiful. Why would we have this war and not make it beautiful? Like that's
Yes, because death is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd be psychotic not to. Basically,
that's a hard concept, but I mean it's true. I know, but it's a hard concept.
Yeah, if you found it beautiful, though, you'll be paying attention to it, and you won't be able to deny it as much, and it will give you the limbic. I think you can find it beautiful and still abhor it, is what I'm trying to say. And
I was thinking about,
we don't have that subtle understanding yet, I think, to realize those two things can be the same because it's a very specific kind of posture.
Yeah, I was thinking about like Wu Wei, and I was thinking about Alan Watts, and he was a raging alcoholic, and he was also brilliant. Mm-hmm. So isn't there like in everything like a both end?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like kind of looking at it and going, to look at that as beautiful, like even like coming for where Wu Wei comes from, is flooding the fields so people starve, and isn't that beautiful? And I'm like, well, yeah, I have a long way to go.
But don't you have to fall in love with the flood myth in and of itself, right, Lori?
Yeah.
Because if we live in this realm, the flood myth is ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
And in some regards, it's supposed to be seen as somewhat necessary or beneficial thing, right?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
reset,
in that context, right?
Yeah, just save the DNA.
We don't see that,
and let's reset everything.
Negative thing, right? Yeah, right. So it's an interesting conflict.
Yeah, it becomes a weapon of war, or a weapon of beauty, a weapon of irrigation. It makes me think of Ashoka. Ashoka was a dude around sort of like southern China, northern India that built the temple of hell, basically. And it was a place he constructed. And the only rule was once you entered the garden, you wouldn't leave. And I think the first person in gets to die when someone else comes in to kind of replace them. And I say gets to because you are tortured until someone else comes in. So it was like a ranking order, and it's taken very seriously to build the beautiful temple that surrounded it. And the idea is that the flowers would only be beautiful if it was emerging from what's below these roots of this terrible, horrible things that are happening to people. And it became a famous Mecca, a pilgrimage that people would actually come to visit because it was so beautiful. And it was so beautiful, kind of like the abyss in Africa, this strange sort of opening in the earth where people are said to go and be so mesmerized by the beauty of it that they just fall off the cliff, or in this case with Ashoka, they just walk right in. That the even the draw of knowing that some of the worst tortures are happening here becomes the attraction itself. You abhor the war while you insist how beautiful it is. And this is the the parable of the brain, because if your brain wants to survive, if your neurological webbing wants to survive, it's going to need the most dystopian kind of platonic memories or constellations. Dystopian meaning the highest of the highs, the 11s and the negative 11s, and that those are the ones that are going to keep you in a larger light cone, having a larger body, right? Having more cells to hallucinate, and you being a bigger being. So the shape of that limbic scale in your brain is probably directly congruent to your ability to even think how large you are, right? To even have a capacity that you could even be 3 trillion cells. That's the only reason why your light cones insist that your body is your body, maybe, is simply your capacity or your resolution to imagine yourself.
Totally. That makes me think of also isn't that the in Washington D.C. the eternal flame, the soldiers that walk that line, isn't that the same thing? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? The eternal flame in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know where they dedicate their they take turns but dedicate their lives to that to walk.
Yeah, that's actually an Aztec thing too, Brad. That the sacred flame is actually an Aztec tradition too. And it's a certain god. It's a jaded faced dude. Can't remember his name right now. But that was the exact same concept. You're keeping the flame alive, and then you have your new fire ceremony, which really is a new dark ceremony. I mean, we call it a new fire, but ultimately what's really significant, I mean, besides the fact that you're ripping out a heart from someone's chest, okay, I'll give you that. That's pretty significant. But besides that, something really profound is happening, because for 6 days, no one has a fire. For 6 days, you're purposely walking around the dark, banging into stuff. You're not even cooking.
Never mind, not any hot food.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like,
and you're almost reminding people there isn't a flame for 6 days, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you tear up your hearth and stuff. And, your kids are like, hey, how come if there's no fire, why are these buns warm? And dad's like, he. It's a different world then. Yeah. And then you light a new one, and that would be such a limbic. This is such a limbic event, right? Hey, remember that day when 6 days and dad's farting on the food? Yeah, man. It's like that's going to burn in your brain for 52 years, and you're going to have that starting point. Yeah.
I was thinking about that song Hotel California, and you can get in, but you can't leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're in this material realm. And, the idea of like what success is would be to be like super famous or, to be an influencer or something. It's like you check in there, you can't leave.
Yeah.
You can't reset your consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you're always like say you did that when you were like 20 years old and you were like 2 years super famous and then you became nothing.
Yeah. That's a hell. That would be
I'd rather be in the 52-year, rip a heart out and start over again.
Yeah. And those brutal ceremonies probably were cleansers to even allow you to forget a lot of previous trauma. So if you've had a really rough year and you're like, well, look at this guy. I mean, I'm doing great. That guy, look at him. Look at him all, oh, don't drag me up the pyramid. It's like, yeah, man, I stubbed my toe. I feel better. I'm doing good.
And the guy that got to sacrifice himself felt like it was the best offering of his whole existence. Is to go out that way.
Yeah,
the
you
sacred
think about
fire holder.
Particularly that
honor.
one. Yeah, you're right, Renee. The new fire ceremony guy. That was probably a highly competitive.
Yeah, I'd
field.
want to do that.
for who gets to be that, seriously.
And think about how hard they had to work just to eat. And they were like, well, I could be like celebrated for a whole year. I mean, I think that would be like think about the consciousness of, how hard it was to live.
Yeah.
Like
knowing
competition, right?
Knowing that you have an expiration date.
Yeah.
What does that do to you? What does that do to you for a year? How is your life different knowing that Logan's Run is a voluntary choice that you make? We don't have a movie about that. Think how much more profound the movie Logan's Run would be.
You would, wouldn't you?
If you push that button yourself. That would be a completely different movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy is so depressed, right? He's just so sick of it. He's just so over it. He thinks he wants to kill himself.
Yeah.
And instead he finds this ad for Logan's Run. He's like, what the fuck is this? He's like, you don't have to kill yourself. We'll do it for you. But we're gonna jack in for a year. And the whole time maybe there's even a prize where, and if you find the sacred fucking key, you can save yourself, just to give you something to tickle with, But it's like that would elevate you. You would become Jaguar psychopath, right? You'd be full fucking 24/7 raging like a mofo. You'd also be sleeping in parking lots. You wouldn't become a daily commuter anymore. You wouldn't have a daily psyche. You would not be able to wait in line for a drink. You would not handle traffic lights. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you would become this different kind of creature. And that is fascinating to think about. Now imagine that different kind of creature, all the other people around know that if this guy in a purple car shows up, he's allowed to run every red light because he is the chosen fucking one. Now you've just turned it into this, oh my God, what have we done? And you have a civilization now, don't you? You have an entire civilization built around that guy. Exactly. And you watching this Grand Theft Auto, because he gets to be Grand Theft Auto. I'm not kidding. He gets to go into anyone's house. He gets to eat whatever he wants. He can grope your daughter. He can call your dog bad names. He can steal your car. This is how it was, because this was such a sacred position that he could do no wrong. So it wasn't like they set it up where, hey, he gets to do everything, but you just start to notice that, wait a minute, this guy has a lot of power.
On his last day, he's like watching the sunrise, like, this is the last time, smelling a flower, from pillaging and raping the neighbors. Like, this is my last day.
Exactly. Oh,
but God. I was thinking about all the other people, right? So how long did they live? 30 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like they didn't even have a consciousness of getting old.
Sure.
I mean, when you think about time before antibiotics, or time before you could get a bacterial infection and be gone, and childbirth, maybe that you didn't make it through that. There was all this time that we had this, like, maybe you never even got a frontal cortex.
I mean, yeah, how cool
exactly,
is it to
Lori?
make it to live 52 years, and then you got to see the next, from you would have been like 0 or 1, but the longer you live, the more you can see, like, the sun does return, or the prophecy is fulfilled.
Yeah, you would.
I was there.
Yeah, you'd have a neocortex, is what you do.
A neo.
Yeah, you'd have a neo. And what's funny is our neocortex is actually our neocortex. Oh, that's where we have Homo sapiens sapien. If you've heard that,
maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the Matrix guy was Neo.
It's me.
Yeah, could be.
Neo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Double Neo. The Matrix.
By the way,
I saw that movie so many times.
You know how we say a wolf says aru, right? Like aru. And so exactly. In ancient Rome, it was uluare.
I like it.
Was what a wolf sounded like. Isn't that interesting?
The wolf spoke Italian?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Alare. It sounds right. Italian.
Yeah. Uluare. Oh, what a wolf for your family.
Yeah. Amazing. It's spoken in a way that the crowd could understand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were doing onomatopoeia before we had the word onomatopoeia. That's cool. Those guys, they were doing a lot.
Smarties.
Man, talk about a time to be alive. Just to experience Rome or ancient Greece just for a day. I mean, I don't, I may not even be able to make it a day, but yeah, just to be able to just like, man, what is this fucking like? Like, what is this? And more importantly, if you could step into the skin of the psyche back then, I mean, I think you'd be able to see it from the outside, but if you could actually step into it and like, why does this fish entree taste good? Why does because when you start to reproduce those ancient recipes, it's funny how horrible they are, like how horrible they taste. And so you always have a chef that's changing it, but they were missing so many clues about, don't you understand how profound it is that this tastes horrible to us? And this was like their main thing.
You're
like,
talking about acorn
dog.
eaters. I think they were all acorn eaters as far as their taste buds.
Yeah.
Back then.
Fledgling primary colors before primary colors, you know?
I remember getting like a Williamsburg, like this wasn't that long ago, but I went as a kid to Williamsburg and we got one of the traditional recipe books and I was like, oh my God, what did they eat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of, we've been here a while and thought it was a little bit more tasty, but no. They didn't have access to.
It's nice we have time machines for food.
They didn't know how to eat shepherd's pie with tortilla chips yet.
Exactly.
I
It
know.
was so beyond
There was
that.
no
Man,
such thing as a tortilla chip.
Guys, imagine taking a cotton candy machine back then. Like,
Oh
just
my God.
Right.
being like firing that fucker up. People would just be
Oh my
like,
God.
what are you doing?
That'd be like,
yeah.
You'd be
like,
taken directly to the king.
You'd be like, here, try this. Suck le bleu. What is this?
Give him the key to the city.
Yeah, that's
It's portobello
He's brought
quesadilla
cotton
flavor.
candy.
yeah. They would hate it. Actually, I bet you that the sugar
I
would
bet
not.
they would
Might.
hate
They
it.
would, yeah.
They would
It'd be
they'd
too
probably
much.
run away in fear. They'd be so scared.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you'd
You
be
gotta do it
like,
subtly.
man,
You
I
have
should have
to
brought something
increments.
else. I should have brought anything else but this. Like, seriously, I should have brought a bucket of
So
nails.
James, when you
I should have
travel
listened to
back in
James.
time, do not take
Yeah.
a cotton candy machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
as James always says, if I go back in time, I promise I will take a bucket of nails. Because I swear to you, nothing would have more value
That's right.
than a bucket of nails. You land on Turtle Island in 18th century with a bucket of nails, you are getting laid, my friends. You were getting beer. You were the new fire
were building
king,
castles.
driving around in a purple car, running all the red lights because you got a bucket of nails. And they're just like, just give me a nail and you can have my daughter. I just need a nail.
I built an A-frame roof. There will be no rain falling on us tonight.
Yeah. Then you get one nail and you're like, shit, I need more of these. This doesn't help with one. I at least need 4. This doesn't even help.
Supply.
Oh my
I need my
goodness.
nail supply. Now we're addicted to nails.
What are we
No,
gonna
it's
do?
just tongue and groove all the way, baby.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's some shaker business.
Yeah.
There's a new movie coming out about the woman who was the leader of the shaker. I know very little about her,
Oh wow.
but they sound like a fascinating. I know they make lovely furniture for one, and it
They
sounds like
didn't
a really
believe in-
interesting. I think it's a musical. They were very into dance.
Oh, my goodness.
But they didn't believe in having children, so they died out, didn't they?
Oh, see, I know very little about it, so I'm
Yeah.
curious.
I think the
It's just
Shakers
interesting
were-
to see this come out.
Kind of a
This
Quaker.
time.
The Shakers are Gnostics.
They weren't shaking
Yes.
so much, huh?
They didn't shake down. They shook themselves right out of existence.
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
we always get the best ideas from sects that also kill themselves. This is very true. If you look back to the Nicaeans, like the people that had a fetish for holy baptismal water, you know, they actually, I think they collected some of the early Dead Sea Scrolls, but these same cults, they believe that they sort of really took off with the idea of if you clean yourself, you won't be as sick. And that became its own cult. The problem is they ran off into the mountains and then they found a pool and then they just kept bathing in that pool like over and over again. So yeah, they weren't accessing the power of a river, you know,
Right.
like changes the water. They hadn't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so they ended up killing themselves because they had the right answer. If this makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
That sounds like the premise of Idiocracy, where
Yeah.
the only people
But
who
it's the other way.
reproduced were- yeah, right.
And with that, we are approaching the end of this fun ride tonight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
10 days into January 2026. We are full throttle. Thanks everyone for
on, baby.
coming.
Yeah, uluare.
Oh yeah.
Buddy.
I'm gonna have to practice that.
All right, we'll see you
Going to
next
the
time.
moon tonight. Bye everybody. Have a great Saturday. Take care.
You said it yourself, this will not work if we are miles apart. Wake up alone, your fans are closed. Reach for something that you're not. Oh, you need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, 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 I know how you feel up in there. You'll get there, I know you will. I know that you don't like your hair, but I think it's beautiful. We just need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We